Hello, today I have a book haul. I got these books. Now let me just say, I've not been into any charity shops, bookshops, I've been avoiding them like the plague. I didn't want to buy any books. I then go into a vintage clothing store and they have a book section. I feel like these books snuck up on me, they kidnapped me and made me buy them. I really don't need any more books, but I'm going to show you what I got. They're the weirdest collection of books, which that sums up every book haul I do, but oh well. First up I have, get ready, this is by Wendy Williams and this is Ritz Harper Goes to Hollywood. It's about this character, it's going to be fabulous, she's going to go to Hollywood. Wendy Williams is basically an American TV personality. She has her own show, you can watch a lot of it on YouTube. People really like her, I really like her because she'll talk about like celebrity news or politics and then she'll give her own opinion and she's not afraid to give an opinion. And that's why I like her. This was co-written and I actually like how she kind of said it was. So it says Wendy Williams and then in the same font it says Yondra Hughes, I believe, who helped her write it, because Wendy Williams, like I said, she's a TV personality. She's a fantastic personality. I love her, but she's obviously not an author, but I think a lot of her personality is going to come into this. I'm very excited. I believe this is a series. I'm getting ready for it. Next up, I have someone who I have unfinished business with, let's be honest. This is Muriel Spark. Me and Muriel. Let me talk about our relationship. I read The Prime of Miss June Brodie. Now, the characters were fantastic, Miss June Brodie was fantastic, the plot, everything, but it was so slow. It was painful. There were lines that were beautiful, but I found it such a slog to get through. So I've got another book by her just to see if maybe this is quicker or whatever. This is Memento Mori, and I believe it's about some elderly residents, particularly an elderly resident called Dame Letty Colston gets an anonymous call, and it's talking about something from the past, which she doesn't want to be brought up from the past, then turns into a witch hunt of people trying to find out who the anonymous caller is, and it's going to rake up her past. It seems very interesting. Yeah, I'll give Muriel another go. I feel like we need to go through some kind of marriage counselling, and this is the last step. If this doesn't work, me and Muriel will be getting a divorce. Just putting that there. I then got The Wicked Wit of Oscar Wilde. This is compiled by Maria Leach, and it's just got kind of drawings and then stuff from his actual work. So there's a line from The Picture of Dorian Gray, there's a line from The Importance of Being Earnest. Never read anything from him, so I think this will be a nice little introduction. Then got two Catherine Cookson books. She does kind of historical fiction. Mainly it's about Victorian times. She wrote one called The Glass Virgin. Oh, it breaks my heart every time. Basically, it was a lot of them are turned into films. The Glass Virgin was turned into a film, and the film version breaks my heart. I started reading the book. I thought I was going to have a breakdown. It's just so sad, but lovely and realistic. And I got these two, which aren't set in Victorian times, I'm guessing, because she's wearing like a mini skirt. So this must be the 60s. Got this because it's just called Hannah Massey, so I thought, come on now. And then got this short one, which is about, she has a series basically called the Marianne series. It started with A Grand Man. That's the first book in the series. I have no interest in reading the series. I'm going to be honest. I looked it up, I wasn't interested, but then when I saw this I think is the last one, and it's called Marriage of Marianne. I thought it's going to be quite short, maybe go for that, might be good, it might not. I then got another piece of historical fiction. This is Marianne again. Marianne's Famine. It's by Colette McCormack, and it's basically about a young girl in Ireland during the famine. It's told in letters and diary entry form. Now, they've tried to trick me because right at the beginning, they've been sneaky. It says it's got this paragraph and it's all like extracts from the journal of a 14-year-old girl, tells you how they found the journal. It was in an oilskin bag and who it was in Irish, and so Sean Thornton translated it. I don't think this is a real story. I think they've put that to try and build up the picture before the story, but I don't think this is real because online it's in the fiction section. So I believe this is historical fiction, because if you look up Anne Frank's diary, that's in non-fiction. It's not in historical fiction, so that's why I'm thinking this isn't. They've just tried to trick me. Oh, I'm loving it so far. I love books where it has like a young girl or a young boy telling you about the time, because they're so young they don't understand it. So this girl's 14 and she's grown up in this like small village and she's just telling you about it, and oh, it's just so lovely. I'm reading, let me get it, Anne Boleyn and Me, and this is a diary told from a girl who her name's Eleanor. She's queen. She's lady in waiting to Queen Catherine. She doesn't start off that way, so her mum is the lady in waiting, and then she has to go off and be lady in waiting for her, and then she becomes kind of lady in waiting for Anne Boleyn. And so it's told by this young girl, who I can't remember how old she is, but she's quite young, and so she doesn't know about like the hierarchy and all those different stuff between like the women can't choose to get divorced, they have to, it's up to the husband, but also about like the laws to do with divorce, to do with like if you're a certain religion you can't get divorced. So she's just kind of quite vague about it, and I really am enjoying this. This is really good. And she's talking about how she kind of doesn't like Anne Boleyn because, sorry, I've turned this into an Anne Boleyn video. There's the beef for Boleyn there. I always seem to do it. But basically, Queen Catherine, right from Spain, was very much loved. Henry then saw Anne Boleyn, who was a lady in waiting, and decided that he wanted to marry her. And why the people genuinely hated Anne Boleyn when she came into power and everything like that is because she was too close to them. She wasn't really of royal set. She was kind of, not a normal person, but kind of a normal person, and they were a bit like, we don't want to worship someone who's normal, and this book really captures that, which is something that's not really spoken about, because Anne Boleyn was very forthright, and for a woman of that time it was like, no, that's not acceptable. So it talks about Anne Boleyn wanted the Bible to be translated from Latin to English, so it was only in Latin. So you had to be educated in Latin to understand the Bible. So poor people didn't understand the Bible, and so upper class people could use it against them and say like, oh, this is in the Bible, you're being unholy, even though it wasn't in the Bible, but they could use it against poor people. And once you have knowledge, you have power. So by translating it into English, you give the poor people knowledge, which will give them power, and they will see what the Bible actually says, and they'll be able to interpret it for themselves and become kind of more successful maybe for that. Well, obviously everyone disagreed with Anne Boleyn because they were like, you cannot translate the holy book so peasants can understand it, that's ridiculous. But she was very forthright. So this little girl talks about that, and she's completely against Anne Boleyn. She's like, Anne Boleyn's mental. And it's so good because she's just like, why is this woman speaking out? Men should only speak out. Because she's a little girl of the time, she doesn't like see. And I love that because every historical book I've read about Anne Boleyn is kind of the author's on Anne's side, and you can kind of feel it, whereas the like narrator in this little girl, she doesn't like Anne. She thinks she's quite rude. She thinks she needs to know her place, and I love it. So sorry, I've gone off topic. So these are kind of similar. They're diary. This is diary entry form. Diary entry form from two little girls who don't really understand the time, but you get the real emotions of the time and bits of gossip that, you know, were kind of around, and theories. Because when you think about something of the famine, like, we know what the famine is, but if you're a little girl at the time, you might not understand like what the hell's happening, like why has this happened, why are these people acting weird. You might not understand, so you feel as like an insider, and that's what Tracy Chevalier, I'm mentioning Tracy Chevalier again, but that's what Tracy Chevalier, I mention her every video, that's what she does well in her books, is that you feel like an insider, not someone kind of narrating from the time. You feel like as naive and in a way stupid as the people did at the time, because they didn't understand what was happening, because you can't see the future. So she doesn't know that the famine's going to come because she's not a bloody mind reader, even though we are aware because of where it's set, because of the time. We know what's going to happen to her and her family and her village, and she doesn't. And that naivety is beautiful, and I think it's really captured well, because sometimes it doesn't work. It's just they can't get that voice. So yeah, I'll put this in here as well. That's great. Anything by Tracy Chevalier. Yeah, and that's it. There's my books in a chat. So I'll speak to you later. There's a seagull going mad, and yeah. subscribe.